I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
From the top to the bottom, I was raised to be solid. Real at every angle, I ain't worried about the audit. Never see the hate, tunnel vision on the profit. Boss moves if I want it, best believe I cops it. Team so tough, moving silence like the mafia. Trying to get the foreign whip, probably name it Claudia. Wife rockin' Tiffany, that's just another day to me. I be living lavish, that's why these haters be hating me. Stronger than I ever been, never break, never been. God first, family second, money is like next to kin. So if you come in for me, pull the trigger, gone and shoot. Kevlar mindset, lifestyle bulletproof. Bulletproof, built tougher than your average. Ultimate hustler, I'm the total package. Bulletproof, I know you see me in your scope. I'm the captain of the ship, you just a sailor with a boat. Bulletproof, built tougher than your average. Ultimate hustler, I'm the total package. Bulletproof, I know you see me in your scope. I'm the captain of the ship, you just a sailor with a boat. Bulletproof.
What's up, everybody? Hey, you're on Bulletproof Mafia. I'm Michael Munsterman. Today's episode, what was it, Phil? Frequency? It's frequency. So, I'm talking about frequency. It's interesting. I've been having a conversation with some of my buddies, and we've been talking about like different elements. And so I posed this question with these guys, and I said, hey, like, what is it that you think is the number one contributing factor to your success? And these are guys from all different industries. They're all over the world, and we're talking about different things. We're on this mutual thread where we chat with each other nearly every day. And this is a conversation that I genuinely want to know the answer to. What is the thing? What's that thing that drives success in your life? Now, before we go into the answer, we have to define what we're talking about when we're talking about success, because success for people is a different animal. You know, I was talking to a gentleman just about 30 minutes ago, and he was talking to me about, hey, I work for the state. I'm a corrections officer. I've got a bachelor's degree. This is what I do. But I'm getting ready to, like, this guy's in his 40s. I'm getting ready to go back to college. I want to be a history teacher. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And for him, success, and he went on to elaborate, right? Like, I'm going to get my teaching degree. I'll get vested. I'll have a pension check coming in at some point from them. My wife, she's already vested in her company, so that means we're going to have 2 checks. He's talking to me about the value of his home, and he's super excited. It's a super nice ranch style, $125,000, $150,000 home, like a good dude. Salt of the earth kind of a guy, the kind of guy you'd sit and have a beer with, chat with, and he's just a fun guy, very interesting, lots of cool things about this guy. But him and I are different. Like, what he finds is his success line, and what I said is my success line are 2 different things. So for you, the thing that you have to first clarify inside of this conversation before I talk about the thing, the signal that I'm going to talk about, is what is success for you? And just take a second and ask yourself that right now in your head. What is success for me? Like, is success for me my family being saved and knowing what's happening there? Is success for me a financial number? Is success for me a certain home, a certain neighborhood? Like, and if you're being totally honest, no one's in the room. No one's in your head. No one knows what your answer is. Is it a certain car? Is it the way you carry yourself? Is it losing a certain amount of weight? Is it what is success for you? Now, for me, you guys know me well enough to know at this point that for me, success isn't a singular conversation. It's not just wealth. It's wealth. It's family. It's physicality. It's faith. It's this accumulation of different things. For me, success involves impact and change and being a blessing, helping others, scale, grow, expand. One on top, like layer on top of layer on top of layer of helping people become the best version of themselves that they possibly can. Level. And so for me, I have all of these different ideas of success. And although everybody kind of worded it differently, the vibe was the same. And this is something that I had never thought about. And then we took this into a whole nother dynamic that I'm going to share in this episode. And that is that what you want in this world, and maybe before I even go there, like if I run up to the cliff, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting ready to tell you what we're going to talk about. And then I back off. There's a book. It's called The Secret. Now, I also know a lot of people that live and die by The Secret. Like, it's The Secret, and it's so true. And then on the other side of The Secret, there are people that are like, yeah, that's a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Okay, fair. But the principles that are in The Secret aren't mumbo jumbo. In fact, if you've never read The Secret, spoiler alert, I think you should read it. But basically what it is this. What you think about, what you focus on, what you say is what you attract. So if your focus is on business, if your focus is on scale, if your focus is on helping others, if your focus is on your family, if your focus is on your physicality, at its most basic form, what you focus on is what you attract. In other words, you take what your internal beliefs are, true blue internal threads, and you send out a signal into the universe. It's almost like a heartbeat. Bump, 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 bump. And that's just happening. That signal is happening whether you like it or not. Because what you focus on is what you attract. I did that the other day and it resonated through. So I know you're going to hear me hitting that table, but it's almost like a heartbeat of the future of your life. And what's interesting is I can spend 20 minutes with somebody and I can talk to them, ask them a few questions. And if they're totally honest with me and they're not very good liars, right? Like if they just are true, their normal selves, they're not put on a front, I can give you a really good idea of what their life looks like. And if you give me a couple hours, whether they try to hide it or not, I can give you the same idea. Because the things that they say, the way that they operate, the way that they carry themselves, the words that they use tell me how they think. And if I can understand how somebody thinks, if you can get super clear on the thoughts that you allow to take, that you allow to hold real estate in your head, your life evolves and grows and expands or contracts to surround your belief system, your signal, that thing that you put out. And what's funny is I proposed this question to these guys. I'm like, so what is it? And at the end of the day, it's, we heard mindset. It's about your mindset. It's about your attitude. It's about your work ethic. It's about, how are you optimistic? Are you pessimistic? Are you, and dumb that down, right? Are you a glass is half full or a glass is half empty? Like I look at a situation, I see opportunity. You look at a situation, you see garbage. You see stress. You see pressure. You see pain, you fear, cower, run. I see pain, I think, ooh, if I'm feeling this, someone else is feeling this also. How can I fix my pain and teach them how to do the same so that I can add value and the world will pay me for that? But I have this signal. And we all elaborated and got more and more clear on this conversation. It became more of this intentional conversation about our signal. About tuning our minds and our bodies and our habits into this station of success. And for us, we're all very similar. Our commonality lies in that we're hustlers, we're grinders, we're creators. We are the people that are boots on the ground making things happen in industry. Like we talked about in yesterday's podcast, from a certain perspective. The God-given perspective that we have from our life's experiences and our socioeconomic background and everything else that puts us where we are in this story of where we're looking to add value. What is success for us is the completion of adding value to the masses. And for me, the process of adding value to the masses. And so what was interesting and where I want to go with this, so let's just take everything that I just said and let's put it into a very neat, clean package because I want you to get it before I move on. What you speak out of your mouth is a representation of what you think in your head. What you think in your head is a regurgitation of the experiences that you put in your eyes and your ears. Who you allow to speak into your life, what you read, who you surround yourself with, who you model your life after, all has to be very intentional so that you can tune your station in a certain direction. The people you go to for advice, the people you spend most of your time around, how much attention and focus you put into those opportunities that you're given, that you're blessed with, that you can take and you can recreate whatever fucking life you want. It's yours. It's there for you to take. And however intentional you are about that decision sets a course path for you to dial your station in to whatever you want to be about. And when you're intentional with what you put in your eyes and your ears, and when you're intentional about the thoughts that you allow to take residency in your mind, it creates a very clear, undeniable channel that broadcasts out to the universe. And then that universe serves you whatever it is you think about. It doesn't give a crap about connotation. It doesn't give a crap about annotation. In other words, like if I say to you, I'm going to create massive wealth. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to create abundancy. I'm going to be a blessing and serve. But inside of that, I'm going to make a lot of money. Everything that I just said is extremely positive and it's focused on the frequency that I want to attract. On the opposite side, I can say the exact same thing, but say it in a terrible way. I don't ever want to be broke. I don't ever want to be without. I don't want to live in a world where I don't get to help people. I don't want to have a small house. I don't always want this. I don't want that. Here's the thing. The only thing that you're sending out are the things, not the precursors or the post-cursor. Like, I don't even know if post-cursing is a word, but you get what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what you put in front or behind the word broke. Broke is the signal you're sending. Scarcity is the signal you're sending. And so when you have those kind of conversations about, well, what if this and what if that? Every single time you say something, you embed clear a more defined signal for the universe to serve you. These are bad words in my household. They're bad words because here's the scary part. The signal that you send into this world is singular. All right? That means that when you start to say abundance, happiness, value, like faith, when you start to say the words, those key elements that you want to attract specifically to your life, your brain begins to only think in that uptick. It only puts a positive light. Well, bad things happen. Yeah, bad things happen, but bad things happen to everyone, and still people are able to accumulate the things in this world that they want. And maybe that thing is to become a history teacher and get 2 pensions and live your best life. And that's okay. Maybe that thing is you want to have $10 million in the bank. Cool. It's time to start to speak that, think that, focus on that, send that out, and understand the rules of engagement so that you can scale, which means that you're going to have to surround yourself with people who speak that, think that, believe that for you, and they're out there. And when all of those things align, you get super, super clear on the signal that you deliver to the universe, and this is so critical. And remember a second ago, I said that's a singular signal. If you're single and you're alone in this world, outside of your friends and your companions and everything outside of your rooftop is your signal. Here's the scary part. And this is going to have a lot of you think hard after I say this. When you live under the roof with someone else, and they live in a scarcity mindset, you have to amplify your signal to create a higher average of the 2 signals. If your spouse doesn't believe that you can do it, if your spouse doesn't encourage you in the direction of your signal, if your spouse isn't on the same page with you, if you do not have a unified signal, you have an average of both signals. That means that when you're the guy that says, I can and will create and build great, big, massive awesomeness, and your wife is like, well, I just don't know if we should take that risk. Guess what just happened? Your great, big, awesome goals, your great, big, awesome opportunities just fell 3 levels or 4 or 5. And at some point, somebody in this relationship is going to wear the other person down. Or you're going to spend your entire career trying to drag that person up to your vision level. And this is just true. You've heard the expression behind every great man, every good man is a great woman, right? Like that's true, but it's not a sexuality thing. It's a statement that says behind every strong signal is an amplifier or a reducer. Period. You either believe so passionately that the person who you're pushing out the door in the morning is going to accomplish whatever their heart's desire is, or you are holding them back and you are responsible for their failures as much as they are. This is a hard truth. People don't like to hear it. But you just have to think about that for a second. And so you have to get very clear and very committed in your conversations with your significant other that if you want us to succeed in this game that I'm trying to play, I need your signal to be parallel with mine. And if it's not, then we need to figure out who's broken, you or I. We need to get on the same page and get unified in our signal that we're sending out to the world, because my expectation is here and yours is here. And that's not going to work because I'm going to drag you, you're going to be miserable, and you're going to pull me back and I'm going to be miserable, and that doesn't fly. You see, because feelings, expressions, signals, they're contagious. They overlap. Like, have you ever been in an area where you're tuning in your radio? For you young people, like, this might be an old concept. There used to be a little knob on the radio and you could turn it. But before signals became as digital as they did, like, there would be these periods where analog signals would overlap. And so you would be listening to 96.9 on the FM dial, and as you're going down the road, that signal starts to switch back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it creates, and if you listen to it and you just believe that it was just one signal, you would think, wow, I'm getting crazy mixed messages from this signal. So how does that pertain to this conversation? Because guess what? Your children are sitting there listening to a mixed signal. The words that they speak and what they believe and how they operate and how they move in this world is guided by the signal that you put out in front of them. And a split signal is a mixed message, and it creates havoc in a young person's mind. Do I believe in my dad, the dreamer, or my mom, the dreamer? Or do I believe in the sandbag holding them back? Do I believe that scarcity is the path that's best for my success? Or do I believe that success is the path that I want to follow? Safety or entrepreneurship? Scale or survival? Do I believe that money is to be saved, or do I believe that money is to be invested? Do I believe that money is something you hold on to, or do I believe that money is something that you should give away as quick as you can? Do I believe that I should be smart in my savings and investing and planning, or should I be haphazard and just reckless? You see, because so many foundational breaks inside of relationships happen because of a mixed communication of signals. And I could take this to business, I could take this to relationship, but here's ultimately the guide. Like, you can take this and apply it wherever you need it right now. Have your spouse listen to this podcast, and then at the end of it, you two sit down and figure out who the hell's who. And who's truly broken. And then let's go back to yesterday's podcast and talk about, is that a fact or is that a feeling, and how much of it's fiction? Because in this conversation, if you want to set your signal for a very specific target, you've got to be willing to do the work, to surround yourself with the assets and the knowledge and the material and the people who are going to fine tune and also amplify that signal into the marketplace, into the universe, into your world. Or you can continue to struggle and fight. Like, I have an unfair advantage in this conversation. Everything that I've ever built, I've had my wife with one step behind me, hand on my shoulder, and she's got me. Like, if you've ever watched a point man, like, clear a room. So the way this happens, one guy knocks the door open, right? That is, you're born. You're put into this world. You go through school. You get married. Door gets open. Boom. Point man goes in. Somebody else is right on their six. Like, somebody's right behind them to clear the room. One guy goes in one way, one guy goes in the other. They make sure that they're covered each other's backs as quickly as possible. That's my wife. I go into a business. She's got one hand on my shoulder, following me into the room. As soon as we get in that space, guns up. Like, that is a true ride or die. Not boom, door gets open. Guy says, move. And you say, well, hold on one second. What if somebody's in there? What if we get shot at? What if you get shot? Well, you just gave them some time to take aim. I guess I might. The same's true in business. Here's this thing. It's the thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go at it. Swear, we've been saving for the last 20 years. I know you wanted a down payment on the house. I have $15,000. There's an opportunity. I think I can execute on it. I've taken the time to map out why I think it'll work. I've sought wise counsel. I've brought people in who are farther down the path than me. They believe in me. They think that this is a great idea. This is something that I'm really passionate about. I think will change our lives forever. Well, I just don't know. I really wanted to live over in that neighborhood. What? This is the point man saying we're going in the door. This is your opportunity to say, I'm going to follow. Get unified in your signal and you will win at this game. Get unified in your signal and your children will be better for it. Get unified in your signal and your marriage will be better. Get unified in your signal and your career will get better. And you know the easiest thing to accomplish is whatever goal you put in front of you when you learn how to think. When you learn how to broadcast, you truly get to live. Savvy?
Package bulletproof. I know you see me in your scope. I'm the captain of the ship. You just a sailor with